Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuhu. Hello, good morning everyone. So, today, what we're going to discuss is one of theories of human development. We have Vygotsky'S Socio-Cultural theory. Before natin simulan ang ating topic, let us hear first the quotation from Lev Vygotsky. He stated that what a child can do in cooperation today, tomorrow she or he will be able to do alone. So, what does it mean? Basically, the word cooperation means with help, guidance, and assistance of other people. Halimbawa, tinuturuan mo ang isang bata na maglakad at tinulungan mo siya gawin ito. Therefore, sooner or later, maggagawa na niyang maglakad mag-isa. Which makes sense kasi doing things with a children teaches them to become independent adult. So let's proceed to the objectives of our topic. First is to explain how Lev Vygotsky developed his theory, to identify the different views of Piaget's theory and Vygotsky's theory in cognitive development, to emphasize the role of social interaction, cultural factors, and language as the central idea of socio-cultural theory, to explain the concept of zone of proximal development. So, we have a keywords here, the social interaction. Social interaction is the key theme of Vygotsky's theory as it plays an important role in cognitive development. He believed that individuals could not be understood without looking into the social and cultural context within which development happens. So, naniniwala si Vygotsky na ang way para ma-develop ang ating cognitive aspect is through social and cultural context. So, why social? Social because we need to interact with other people to gain knowledge and skills. And for cultural naman ay tungkol sa beliefs, attitudes, and language natin. We need to consider cultural context or factors kasi nagkaka-epekto ito sa cognitive development ng isang tao. So, another keyword here is scaffolding. Scaffolding is Vygotsky's term for the appropriate assistance given by the teacher to assist the learner accomplish a task. Basically, ang scaffolding ay nangyayari habang tinutulungan o tinuturuan mo ang isang bata. Isa itong klase ng pagtuturo na hinahayaan mo ding may matututunan ang isang bata. Anyways, I will briefly explain it later on. First and foremost, we need to know first who is Lev Vygotsky. So, when Vygotsky was a young boy, he was educated under a teacher who used the Socratic method. This method was a systematic question and answer approach that allowed Vygotsky to examine current thinking and practice higher levels of understanding. This experience, together with his interest in literature and his work as a teacher, led him to recognize social interaction and language as the two central factors in cognitive development. His theory became known as socio-cultural theory of development. So, at a young age, na-expose na si Vygotsky sa Socratic method of learning, which means a debate approach between teachers and students. So, ang reason kung bakit niya nagawa ang kanyang theory is based sa karanasan niya at sa interest niya, and also because he used to be a teacher. Ang theory ni Lev Vygotsky about cognitive development in children is known as the Socio-Cultural theory of development. The idea of his theory is para malaman natin kung paano natututo ang mga bata in social environment. It's all about social learning. Vygotsky worked on his theory around the same time as Piaget, in between 1920 and 30s. But they had clear differences in their views about cognitive development. So, i-compare natin ang pagkakaiba ng idea nila. And I hope na aalala nyo pa ang theory ni John Piaget about cognitive development para mas madali natin maiintindihan. So the first one is Piaget. His theory is more individual in focus. It means the development depends on the learner, while Vygotsky's theory is social in focus because the development of a learner is based from social interaction. Next from Piaget is he believed that there are universal stages of cognitive development. So Piaget believed in uniform progress from a learner at a certain stage. Remember the 4 basic cognitive development and 4 stages of cognitive development ni Piaget? Para sa kanya, natututo ang mga bata step by step, while Vygotsky did not propose stages but emphasized on cultural factors in cognitive development. He only focused on cultural factors. That's why he is going to stress the role of language in cognitive development, while Piaget did not give much emphasis on language. So let's proceed to the social interaction. Vygotsky emphasized that effective learning happens through participation in social activities. Which is true kasi according to Vygotsky, malaki ang contribution ng social interaction sa cognitive development ng isang bata, including the social environment and social experiences. Parents, teachers, and other adults in the learner's environment all contribute to the process. Their function is to explain, model, assist, give directions, and provide feedbacks to the learner. At school, teachers ang nagpo-provide ng new learnings and new experiences sa mga bata. While sa bahay naman, the immediate family, ang mga taong laging nakakasalamuhan ng bata ang dapat magturo sa kanila ng mga unang bagay na dapat matutunan nila. Peers cooperate, collaborate, and enrich the learning experiences. Peers is what we call friends. Friends at school, friends at home, ay pwede makatulong para mas mapadali ang proseso ng development ng isang bata. The more they interact, kasi sa same age nila, the more na naku-curious sila sa mga bagay-bagay na dapat nila matutunan. So, let's proceed to the cultural factors. Vygotsky believed in the crucial role that culture played on the cognitive development of children. Vygotsky looked into the wide range of experiences that a culture will give to a child. So, what are the cultural factors that influence the development of children? When we say cultural factors, it's all about beliefs, language, and cultural background. Ito yung mga nagkakaapekto sa bata, especially sa kanilang cognitive development. The more the wider the culture is, the more the children were going to learn. Like for example, how a child is raised or trained in early life can contribute to the development of the cognition of the child. It means kapag ang bata daw ay mas maagang natuturuan at natututo agad, then mas mahahasa at eventually magagawa na niya ng maayos in the future. Another example is, in Islamic views, mas better na habang maaga pa ay sinasanay at tinuturuan na ang mga bata about sa Islam. At a young age, dapat marunong na magsambayang at yung iba pinag-aaral pa sa Arabic school para mas matuto. Ang ganitong klaseng pagtuturo sa bata ay tinatawag na tarbiya. Ginagawa ito for the sake of children, para hindi mawala ang paniniwala nila sa Diyos at para mas lumakas pa ang kanilang iman pag lumaki na sila. So next is the language. Language can be viewed as a verbal expression of culture. We all know that language is a part of social interaction and cultural factors. Also, it is important in terms of learning because tinuturuan tayo at natututo tayo through language. Language serves a social function, which is we use it to start a conversation and interact with people. Mas madaling matututo ang isang bata kung tinuturuan mo ito habang kinakausap dahil mas madali kanilang maiintindihan. Also, language has an important individual function, which is it opens the door for learners to acquire knowledge that others already have. It helps the learner to regulate and reflect on his own thinking. So, we talk to ourselves. Also, children talk to themselves. So, di ba kapag naglalaro ang mga bata, they usually talk to themselves. Kinakausap nila ang sarili nila. For example, sasabihin nila, gagawin ko itong airplane at ito naman ang airport. For Vygotsky, it is called talking to oneself. Is an indication of the thinking that goes on the mind of the child. Naglalaro sila mag-isa habang sinasabi nila kung ano ang nasa isip nila at ito ang tinatawag na private speech. So, ang private speech is a form of self-talk that guides the child's thinking and action. Ang private speech ay nakakabuti sa mga bata para mas maintindihan nila ang kanilang ginagawa. And also, it allows us to hear and know kung ano nga ba ang nasa isip nila. Kung hanggang saan umaabot ang kanilang imaginations at paano ito makakaapekto sa kilos nila. For example, may paper plane na hawak si Maya At sinabi niya na papaliparin ko itong paper plane at aabot ito sa sanga ng puno. Kapag nagawa na niyang paliparin ang paper plane, hahabulin at sisigaw pa yan para i-cheer ang paper plane. So, that is private speech. Okay, now, what are the learning activities na pwede sa mga bata para mas ma-develop ang sarili nila? So here, children learns best through hands-on activities than when listening passively. Children effectively learn through experiences. Therefore, mas advisable na let the children experience things outside the world. Hayaan natin maglaro sila sa labas at mag-participate sa mga field trips ng school para mas marami pa silang matututunan. Huwag nating hayaan na makulong lang sila sa bahay o sa kwarto habang naglalaro ng mga online games dahil hindi ito nakakatulong sa kanila. And remember the saying na experience is the best teacher in life. Also, we have learning by doing. Learning by doing made fruitful when children interact with knowledgeable adults and peers. Mas matututo ang mga bata sa experiences nila kapag may kasama sila na magpapaintindi sa mga bagong kaalaman nila sa buhay. Also, mas masaya ang experiences nila kapag may kasama silang natututo. So let's have the concept of zone of proximal development. So in the zone of proximal development, we need to consider first the zone of actual development. In this one, a child performing an activity alone attains a certain level of competency called zone of actual development or ZAD. It means kung ano lang ang kayang gawin ng bata mag-isa. For example, may batang gusto mag-bike. Alam ng bata kung paano umupo sa bike pero hindi niya alam kung paano magbisikleta mag-isa. At yun ang tinatawag na ZAD, kung ano lang ang kayang gawin ng bata mag-isa. However, having a more knowledgeable other or MKO, as in a competent adult or an advanced peer, the children can perform on a higher level of competency. When we say more knowledgeable others, it refers to the parents, teachers, adults, and etc. Ang role ng MKO is para i-assist, guide at turuan ang bata para makagawa ng panibagong kaalaman or karanasan. Continue natin yung example natin kanina. Kapag may tumulong sa bata na mas may alam kung paano magbisikleta, sooner or later, matututo na ito dahil sa pagtuturo ng MKO. At yun naman ang tinatawag na ZPD. Because the difference between what the child can accomplish alone and what she can accomplish with the guidance of another is called zone of proximal development. So we need to see the illustration in the next page to understand more. So, as you can see in the picture, there are 3 zones. So, ang unang bilog or what we call zone is the ZAD which means what I can learn on my own or what the children can learn on his own. As I said earlier, when you say zone of actual development, ito lang ang kayang gawin ng bata mag-isa, while the second zone ay ang zone of proximal development, which is kayang gawin ng bata with the help of MKO or knowledgeable others. And the last zone is the beyond the reach of a child, which is maa-accomplish lang ito pagkatapos ng proseso ng ZAD at ZPD. In short, ito na yung kinalabasan. Another example here is kapag nasa beach ang isang bata, ang una niyang gagawin at ang kaya niya lang gawin ay ang magtampisaw sa dagat. And that is ZAD or Zone of Actual Development. Next naman is pag hinikayat mo siya na mas mag-explore sa dagat. Eventually, with your help, unti-unti na siyang matututo paano lumangoy. And that is the zone of proximal development. Therefore, sooner or later, ang outcome or ang development na mangyayari ay magiging magaling na siya lumangoy mag-isa kasi tinulungan at tinuruan mo siya kung paano. And that is the concept of zone of proximal development. Last but not the least is the scaffolding. So what is scaffolding? It is the giving the right amount of assistance and bridging the gap between the learner's current skill levels and the desired skill level. As the learners become more proficient, they will be able to complete the task on their own, thus the removal of the assistance. This is called as the scaffold and fade-away technique. So, ang scaffolding ay tungkol sa temporary support na galing sa MKO or more knowledgeable others na binibigay sa mga bata para magsilbing gabay hanggang sa matuto na ito mag-isa. Scaffolding is a way to make sure na matututo ang bata, hindi yung tinuturuan mo sila, but then wala silang natututunan. For example, tinulungan mo ang kapatid mo na isuot ang isang tsinelas niya. So, hayaan mo siyang mismo ang magsuot ng kabilang tsinelas niya para matuto siya. Another example is kapag may pagkain at binigyan mo siya, hayaan mo rin siya na mismo ang kumuha ng pagkain sa kamay mo. When the MKO scaffolds, the process moves in 4 levels. First is I do, you watch, I do, you help, you do, I help, you do, I watch. So you see, tuturuan natin sila ng mga bagay through showing them how and let them do the rest. Finally, that is the theory of Vygotsky's about socio-cultural development. The idea of his theory shows us that we humans develop because of the social and cultural context that we are exposed to. So, thank you sa pakikinig sa akin and sana may natutunan kayo.